Yeah, I guess I'm gonna talk a little bit about my history with like video gaming. Um, I remember, going to arcades a little bit when I was a kid. I used to belong to a bowling team, like a bowling league. I had my own bowling team. I remember 1980. I was in fifth grade, 80 to 81. And we had a pretty good bowling team. I was pretty good at bowling. I was only 10 years old, but I was pretty darn good. And I remember they had the arcade games, and I would play them sometimes. And then, after a while, I got interested in, getting a game system, because all these kids were getting Atari and Television and ColecoVision. And then I finally got a Atari, for my 13th birthday in 1983. It was actually an early birthday present. I actually got it a month before I turned 13. I remember, I guess my dad was just as anxious to get it. So he got it for me as like an early birthday present. Cause, yeah, he liked video games too. And I had a lot of games. I racked up like 28 games for that system. And I remember that my favorite games were Phoenix and Atlantis and Kroll, based on that movie, and Riddle of the Sphinx, Cosmic Ark, Frogs and Flies, Defender, Miss Pac-Man, I remember that one. Gorf was really good. What other games? I used to like borrow games too. I remember from this friend of mine in school. We used to like trade games and borrow them. And I used to like borrowing his Kaboom game for some reason. I used to like that game a lot, especially because back then, I had paddle controllers, and I have Kaboom for PlayStation 2. It's an Activision compilation. And I tried, it's got Kaboom on it. It's got 45 plus games. Most of them are Activision games. And the Kaboom is really bad because you have to use the joystick, and you just can't play that game without a paddle controller. And I remember borrowing games like Enduro back then, and skiing. That was a lot of fun. I had those games on the Activision compilation. Yeah. And then, like, after a while, I sold the Atari 2600. I didn't have it that long. I wound up selling it. I think about it, I regret selling it. Thought I should have held on to it a little longer. I sold it dirt cheap. All those games, $125. That was in, what was that, like, end of November? I think it was November 30th. I still remember, 1984. So I only had the Atari for a year and 7 months, basically. And I sold it so I could get a Commodore 64, because that was the real hot system back then, at that time. And I wound up having that until it broke, like towards the end of 1990. I had lots of games for the Commodore, tons of games. Had a lot of fun with that system. Music studio was great. Make your own music. And some of my favorites were like Grid Runner was one of my favorites. And Hardball and Fourth and Inches, Summer Games, Winter Games, World Games. Yeah, list goes on and on. Montezuma's Revenge, that was a really good one. Bruce Lee, Conan, Beachhead, G.I. Joe, Karateka, International Karate, Exploding Fist. Yeah, I had tons of games for that system. It was awesome. It's starting to get dark in here. Put the light on. Yeah. And then I remember after the Commodore broke down, I got myself a Turbo-Graphx 16. At that time, Sega Genesis was the hot system. This was the fall of 1990. I decided to go with the Turbo-Graphx to be a little different. And I still have that system actually. I got like somewhere around 30 games for it. And then I also had the Super Nintendo that I got in fall of 92. I remember Commodore 64 came out with a new edition, like a renewed edition, and I was almost going to get it, but I decided not to, and I really regret that I didn't, but anyway, after the Super Nintendo, yeah, I remember getting a Sega Genesis we bought off a friend of mine. That was a fun system also. I liked the Mario Lemieux Hockey and Beavis and Butthead and Mickey Mouse, Sorcerer's Apprentice. Yeah, they were really good games. And then I didn't get a PlayStation 2 until 2006. I used to play regular PlayStation, just, other people's PlayStation. I used to like Gran Turismo a lot. And games like Knockout Kings. I still have my PS2. I got a pile of games for it, around 30 games. They don't sell them anymore, I noticed. They should. They should bring that back and sell them. Come out with a new version. Unless, I think you could play the PS2 games on the more modern PlayStation systems, as far as I know. I only had the PS2 though, so I'm not extremely knowledgeable about PlayStation. All I know is, I got like 30 games for it. And, it just seems like people, that had PS2, their system, broke a long time ago. And it's a nice little system to have because it's very portable. It's like about the size of my tablet I have here, if that. I had to check the time. And then finally I got a Xbox 360 in 2012, early part of 2012. And I still have that, and I got like, 12 games for it or something like that. So, I don't know. I don't, to be honest, I don't like these newer systems like I did with the older systems. And I think the Commodore was the best. I think the games provided the most fun. And I guess maybe the Atari 2600 is like right behind it, the fun factor. And then I guess the Genesis and Turbo-Graphx, Super NES, they're right there too. But these newer game systems, I don't know. I don't find the games that much fun. Well, I'm gonna cut it.